coming.
Always.
Yeah, that's what you do. The market's telling us. Nobody has that. And, how is it? There's a void in the market, and only we can fill it. But create the problem.
Okay.
You agree? You'll find somewhere.
I have no doubt I can find somewhere. It's about spending the money on
Well,
it.
within budget. But we're not going to go to Hilton Americas again and be stupid like that. That was just dumb. That was ego. Don't do ego shit anymore. Egos are stupid. It costs too much. Let's go. Let's go recharge. Let me tell you why this recession is not the same thing as COVID. Because during a recession, normally you are on your own. It is me versus you, hand to hand, somebody's went into the dirt. And that's how you survive. During COVID, everybody got shut down. Government took responsibility. They thought they're gonna be a bloodbath on being able to buy apartments, this and that. Everybody's ready for it, forbearance this, defeat. None of that happened. Because why? The government got involved. They gave PPP loans, they did the eviction moratorium, they made sure they had rent ready, subsidies for that kind of stuff. And it changed the game. Right now, wartime general versus peacetime general. You're gonna find out who's preparing. You're gonna find out who's been through the wars. Because you know what? I'm not where I want to be right now. We've had some operational issues this year. Part of the reason why we went to a third-party management. But I tell you this, I know how to get us through the war. I'm ready for that. I'm ready to get us through this war. I need this. Like I tell you, since we made this change, we've seen the uptick. I'm pushing hard. I'm getting the answers that I want. And it's out of sheer will and determination on how you get through that. So when you've gone through 2008 recession like I did, when you've gone through the recovery beginning in 2012, when you go through the oil issue that we had in 2014, 2015, and then you went through COVID, we're ready for this. So it's going to be very interesting what happens the next 18 months. The bloodbath begins next quarter. Because I know if we're feeling the pressure, others are feeling the pressure too. And they're not as good as us. Simple as that. So you know what? Let the best team win. So if it's affecting this group, and most people here, I know everybody here is paid well, because I pay the checks. Can you imagine what happens at our residents, our B and C class? Where they already have 3 times the income, which means they're at $45,000, $50,000. They got a family of 3, family of 4. That's why it's so important, Ezra, that we have to get the resident retention there. What are you doing to increase this? And that'll be part of our asset management class. Reputation management. Read the reviews before you go on any of those calls. Hey, tell me about this. Tell me about that. Because no one's going to care about it more than you. You're the one that's got skin in the game, not the third-party property management company. So if you care about it, you're going to go. And so these are the things that I think will carry us through the recessions. That I've been through this. I know what questions to ask, right? So I need your help there. Like, hey, look at these numbers. Where are you seeing this? Always ask if the number's down, why is it down? There's a cause and effect. Something occurred, maybe two things occurred, but there's a reason why the numbers look like that. And that's where the staff change comes in. That's where potentially other changes come in. So she just gave us what our message is for the asset management. It's the recession. Like right now is the time for you. The recession is here. Now is time for you to think differently. Now is time for you to not just preserve, but to still stay on offense with your properties, with your investments. Do you know how to properly walk your investment? Do you know what questions to ask? These are the things that you weren't doing during peacetime that you now need to discover during wartime. It's these new skill sets that you have to have that are going to get you over the top of the mountain. It's going to get you through whatever storm's coming, and maybe at the other side of it, you're able to pick up something along the way.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of putting together your plan before it gets to that point, right? Like kind of now coming up with, okay, if we get to this level, this is what we do. If we get to this level, this is what we do. Because like she said, if you wait until you actually get there, then you make your rush, you make emotional decisions and things like that. But if you kind of understand, like, okay, when I get to this point, I've already decided what to do. That way, you take the emotion out of it. This is just the best way. I've already predetermined this is the best way to run the business. So this is what happens.
Mm-hmm. This is what we have to do. We got to cut back. We got to get that NOI up by cutting expenses and making sure that what we have there, we produce the very best. And this is where you're supposed to cut your fat of any business.
Yep.
Look, every business is run by its bottom third. This is your bottom third right now. It's going to determine whether or not you get to the recession or not. And so, like we had to cut a manager over there, and we had to cut a manager over here. We wanted that regional reassigned. because we're getting weak. Why are we here? We're here for those results. That's why we're in a situation with a recession. Well, you got to stay on top of it by making sure you continue to push up, because the middle 2/3, whatever they are, that middle third will be the bottom third if you're constantly cycling people in and making yourself stronger. So yeah, I think we need to figure out, okay, where are the deadbeats in the business? Because they're dragging us down like anchors, and we don't need an anchor right now during a hurricane. We got to hurry up and sail through the hurricane, not get stuck in the same position at 86% or whatever the number is. We got to get to 96. Well, how do you get to 96? You get to 96 by getting rid of the anchor and letting the wind take you forward, momentum take you forward. Yeah. Interesting ideas, Ezra. Because they're going to do what we say. So far, they haven't said no to anything. It may take them a little bit to get around the idea, but they've done it. We're the client. We want them to run our asset that we want them to run it. I don't think we need to be afraid to ask what we need to ask. I mean, we're not doing this just because I'm being a bit miser. I'm doing it because this is what it takes to be a successful business. You've got to cut the fat. And if they're smart, they're already doing it. And if they're not, then we're going to show them how to do it. Never forget who we are and how we got here. Well, I think the communication was key on that, right? Maybe we need to open up more communication with the investors.
Yeah.
Hey, let you know we're on this. We know we're in a problem. I say weird. Last night for the first time, and I think yesterday's meeting was really good. Or whatever this week's meeting with RPM was really good because I feel progress. I didn't feel anything was suffering, and I think it all had to do with that one property, right? Knowing that we got 6 leases last week, 6 leases this past week. We're trying to get 6 now. Like, I felt really good with those letters. Why? Because I felt less in the dark, right? Writing those letters forced us to learn the information, forced us to investigate what the actual financials and the numerical data is. So that now we can track it, because you can't hit a bullseye if you don't know where the bullseye is at. So now we know what the expectation. Oh, so you can hit 6 leases in a week, and you can do it 2 weeks in a row. Oh, we're trying to do 3 weeks. No, that is the new standard now. Nothing below 6 leases. Because if it's not getting 6 leases, what changed? You were getting it. Why did it stop? Something in the equation changed. Personnel didn't show up. You stopped spending. Something occurred, right? And so that's true with the rest of the property. You got to create that same emphasis everywhere else. And the only way you do that is with the regular monitoring of the numbers. And that's what the asset management team is supposed to be doing. Like, they have their set of deals. They should be looking at this. I'm like, okay. And then my job is to make sure they're doing it. And then 2, make sure that they inform me what's going on. Show me where the trends are. Okay. And create the little graphs, show, hey, we have this going on. You should be able to create that in the system, right? With the graphs and the numerical data.
Okay, well,
With RPM doing it now, I think RPM is doing a narrative
Good.
that I think we will approve, but it should be better.
right.
It shouldn't be done by anybody here because we're not at the site level. It should be done by the regional.
Yeah.
Who's supposed to be there overseeing this every week. There's nobody better to tell me what's going on in the property than Kim, because she says she's there twice a week.
Perfect.
And she does another property twice a week, and she does another property twice a week. Right? So she should be putting together that plan. It should be very difficult. On top of it, we're already having our 2 weeks review, right? Is it every 2 weeks with them? Yeah, so we're on top of it as well. You have to constantly challenge yourself, reflect, evolve, and realize, what is my best use, and do I have the best team to do that? And I realized that there was a lot of market conditions that were coming around with increased property insurance, rising overhead, a lack of being able to get qualified staff to run our properties meant there was issues. We couldn't make decisions when we needed to make those decisions because there was nobody to put in the chair if we got rid of somebody. Joining with a bigger group with better processes, better procedures, a full HR team, a full training department makes a lot of sense if you stay on top of them. We didn't have that. We didn't have the infrastructure. We didn't have the overhead to do it. And so we were going to get caught. I realized that a recession was coming. I realized something is occurring. You changed the administration. It was all great when Donald Trump was president. And then when Biden came, gas doubled. I mean, he just lied today saying that, gas was $5 when he took over and gas was $2.33. And he was all proud because he brought it down to 3.5, which is just bullshit. It's just propaganda and stuff. So my point is, I saw all that happening, and you've got to get on where there's shelter. You got to get under a bigger canopy if there's going to be a heavy storm. And our canopy wasn't big enough anymore. And so, but at this level, now with a big canopy, now I can actually focus and I can look at the numbers, and having been through the different recessions, having been through the different slowdowns, you can make a better qualified, informative decision because you actually lived it. You know what's going to happen. Every one of these is the same way, but it's what do you do to prepare for it? What do you do? How do you get ready? Most people don't know what to do. You know, we just listened to a video right now, and the presenter who's giving the instructions on what to do during a recession even said, I wasn't around during the recession. I was a teenager. Well, I wasn't. I was 30 years old, and I was running my first deals. And that's how I got baptized. It was baptism by fire when I got into the apartment world. And I had to learn how to keep heads in beds. I had to learn how to lease and teach my sales team how to lease. So it was 30 people moving in, 30 people moving out. And it was really like, you know, a fight, man to man, hand to hand combat with your competitor. And guess what happened? Somebody went into the dirt. Somebody died. Somebody foreclosed. Let me tell you what's going to happen after this. When somebody does die and get foreclosed, somebody buys them at a cheaper cost basis, cheaper than what you have. So that means they can do more because they got it for a fraction of what you paid. That's the next step to this. How do I know that? Because I lived it. So how do you compete with that later on? That'll be something to talk about in the future. But you better have your occupancy, you better have loyalty with your residents, because they're going to come in and they can take more risk. They can handle a better downturn than you can now. So it just makes it even tighter. So it becomes a little unfair when somebody dies and they come back to life as a zombie, you know. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and click on the bell icon for a notification on our future videos. Remember, before you invest in anything, invest in yourself. See you on the next one.